arsenal. So this is a casual 10 go again.
Cash 10 go. I'm trying to be concise, not working. But yeah, Ravenous Rabble finding a treasure trove of a Fabled card, the Command & Conquer Fabled from Dynasty, showing up and saying, yeah, all right, well, -1 to your attack, but the +6 that you're getting cumulative from those non-attack actions means that this Ravenous Rabble is packing some serious heat.
Yeah, I don't even think that this is a Ravenous Rabble anymore. This is beyond rabble rousing. This is a Ravenous Riot. When you get up to 10, it is a stampede of ravenousness. And then we're going to cap things off with the Endless Arrow, but that will be covered by the Fate Foreseen.
So was that a Starstruck that blocked?
It might have been.
So there was a missed Unity trigger. There should be a Seismic Surge on the board, but it might not even matter because I don't think you're going to even send anything. So we're just going to go ahead and pocket a card. Tunic online, though. Again, new Bravo playing Tunic more than Tech Plate.
Worth noting, Nathan Crawford's turn was just drawing up there, obviously, because Jeffrey had expended all of the cards, and now we are going to load up, I believe that's a Heat Seeker into the arsenal, and then play the Premeditate to fire it.
Oh, boy. It's like Tarek Patel in 2015.
Trying to figure out, how do I get to 8 here?
It's a Tarek Patel in 2015 pre-med. 9 spot. Ponder. On hit again is significant here because the heater allows you to go ahead and reload essentially. But you got a card in hand here. There's no go again out of the gate. I think that what Nathan's trying to think here is this is not a situation where you want to give a Civic Steps because you don't want to give the go again. Or this doesn't already have go again. So maybe you do want to just give a Quicken token to this because there's no way to really give this go again right out of the gate. It was just burn a Quicken.
I actually think that this is going to be a really fun matchup to watch.
There's the Civics.
To the Civics because I have been saying for a while now that the Quicken token can sometimes be very problematic. We'll have to see whether or not Jeffrey can abuse that on the following turn, but they are used here, so Quicken token is live. The rest of that damage covered up. And
well, now we're going to see what the reach is and the downfall of these Civic Steps are possibly going to do. But we're going to open up here big card, especially against a Go Tall. With the amount of non-attack actions that are beefing up these arrows, Charmer, this is a massive play as it's going to be, with the Tunic value, a Chokeslam. We talked earlier, why the Tunic? Why not the Tech Plate? That's it, yeah. Well, you're getting a resource from the Seismic Surge, but you're almost rarely using it. This is just kind of having a Seismic Surge at the ready every 3 turns, and that's important.
Now we see our first trap come into play here, coming from the arsenal, and that's going to trigger Riptide. So
wait a second.
Get some damage in.
Are you telling me that it's a fully operational battle station and the shield on Endor is still intact? It's a trap.
How long have you been waiting to say that on a broadcast?
It's not just that. It's just the fact that if I'm on a broadcast, you're getting minimum 1 Star Wars reference.
Sure,
so
but
just
I mean
own
in
it.
particular, because let's be honest,
this is perfect.
Riptide doesn't make it on the broadcast
No.
very often. So I'm just curious. Have you had that in your pocket for like 6 months just
Since
waiting?
it was released, dude, since Outsiders, the problem is that this freaking hero has just never been on broadcast. So, but here he is. That looks like a Lace with
Inertia, I believe.
With a
Drill Shots. So coming in for 7 with Go again because of that Quicken token.
But if there's a follow-up, that's the important part here, because you might just be burning the Quicken here, which is what's happening, but the Inertia token with the 7 attack here, this is dangerous because Bravo really leans on a lot of the equipment block. It's an important aspect because when he finds the magic sauce here, you want the equipment to sort of block out some nasty on-hits. So we're just going to throw an Imposing Visage in here and find the Fate Foreseen. Full coverage, baby.
Fully covered, and what is the last card? It goes to the arsenal. All right, so the Civic Steps, at least the first time around, did their job.
Are you slightly more convinced on them?
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's going to take more than that.
Big play here. This is the old-fashioned
This
sauce.
is one of my favorite plays in the game. The Tear Asunder, the dominating the hammer, threatening the discard.
Tear Asunder, the fact that it can connect with a hammer is incredible. This is another brilliant card from Tales of Aria. We were talking earlier, I was mentioning about with Sam about Tales of Aria. Is like, well, there's nothing you could play out of that set. Tear Asunder's a pretty damn good card to come out of Tales of Aria. That card is still relevant, still played, still impactful as we see it right now, connecting with Anathos. 7 dominate on hit, discard 2.
Yeah, there was just an awful lot of juice in that set. Even when you're outside of the elements, there was some gems to be found. And Tear Asunder is one of my favorite cards in the game because my favorite thing to do in Flesh and Blood is make my opponent discard cards. And this is actually a pretty big deal here because that is a death touch. Now, we are going to combine it with the boots and a trap, so it will be fully covered and you deal the damage there. But ultimately, I don't think you like giving up Death Touch because as a Riptide player, it's very easy to quote-unquote load. I know it's not an arrow, but because of his hero ability, it's easy to jam into the arsenal and then send.
Right now, it looks like Nathan Crawford caught a Chokeslam, a Spinal Crush. Looking at what else he might be holding there. 2 red cards, so nothing to really combine with. Tunic's not going to help him out on the other turn. Bolton Shot coming in with the +1. It's a 5 go again on hit reload. This, like when you see Bolton Shots, I mean, this brings you back to a few months ago when Lexi was just running rampant.
Oh, absolutely. And I think here, well, we have the floating resource, so the reload might actually be relevant. I think that is an arrow hanging out there. I was about to say this might be a scenario where it's a bit misleading with the reload and the go again, because with only 1 card left, there's a shot that you might just arsenal that, set yourself up for the following turn, because not only are you a ranger, and the arsenal is very important, but Riptide in particular, as you can see, is running the trench, and that is also something that you want to consider. But with another arrow over there and the 1 resource floating, this might be something that gets sent if it makes it the whole way through. Now, with a plethora of red cards in the hand of Nathan, there might be a consideration to use some of those to block with because your hand is a bit clunky, but you also sometimes run into a scenario where you might be able to send one and arsenal the other so that you can chain together a couple of turns and be aggressive. Because you're right, I see the Spinal and it looks like a Chokeslam as well.
Nathan Crawford, such a nice dude. Very famously piloted Briar for so long, and it kind of broke his heart a little bit that he didn't get to,
All right, so
cross over with
the
Briar.
reload into the fire to continue the pressure. And I think that's the right call instead of just reloading or taking that arsenal and passing, because if your opponent no blocks this, that's saying, like, okay, they have a hand they like, let's continue to exploit that. And now we are going to see at least 1 block, it looks like, out of Nathan.
Thrown in that Spinal Crush. I mean, that's a card that the Crush effect I don't think is going to have that much significance against.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, we just saw Go Again be relevant. And also, if you're donating Quicken tokens, stopping Go Again could be relevant.
You're donating too, dude. Like, it's just stop hating on Civic Steps. It's an incredible card. It's why I bought Round the Table.
Listen, I have said it before, and I'll say it again. Part of the reason I hate Civic Steps is it's a bit of a psyop. If I say, hey, we're happy we finally got boots, then LSS won't ever give us more Guardian boots. So we need to say, these are bad, give us real boots.
Yeah, all right. Let's go down the list of the amount of times Brute players have cried for 6 attack blue block 3s. Like, we're fine, we're good. I don't think they're gonna they cave to our demands.
Listen, Brute players can have a lot of 6 attack block 3s if they just switch to Guardian.
Oh yeah, dude, that's all we have. Are you kidding me? When I spoke to Brian in Barcelona, I'm like, hey Brian, out of curiosity, heavy hitters, as a Bravo player, is it just like another 3-pack of 6 attack blue block 3s that I got to look forward to, or am I actually going to get some cool cards out of this? And he's like, wait and see. I'm like, damn you, Brian Gottlieb. New Horizons gonna come in and cover up the majority of this, I suppose.
1 Spinal was used to block because it turns out having a backup pretty relevant, but we are going to ship the New Horizons. And I think that is less of an issue when you are the Riptide player than, say, it was for Lexi, right? Because, yes, you can utilize it. We got to see it exploited a little bit earlier, but it's not like a key component of the Riptide package.
Dude, you got to love this. It's the Quicken token that he donated and then immediately threatened with the Spinal Crush, right? It's just like a little bit of as easily as I give, I can take away. I brought you into this world, I can take you out. That's kind of how it worked here. So a little bait and switch. You give the Quicken token, you send the Spinal Crush, which forces your opponent to, if they want the value out of it, he bought a New Horizon out of that. So that's not going to feel too bad. Here comes a drill shot that it looks like Nathan Crawford is happy to sign for. The -1 token likely going to the Crown of Providence is my suspicion. Yep, there it goes.
Yeah. Because if you put it on the Tunic, what happens is you never give your opponent any sort of incentive or punishment for having to use the Tunic.
Thank you. That is the same sort of logic that I use. I never put a -1 on a Tunic because then they'll never give it up.
Right. Whereas the Crown, you also know they will want to use, and so you want to mitigate the value they get from that. Speaking of value, is there a more valuable play than a dominated crippling crush? I feel like this game was made for you and I because we are big Bravo fans, and we love big dominated attacks.
Dude, it is just, there's something special to feel. It's like, when you're playing, Starvo, it's like you don't have to pay for this effect. It's just, you just get it. When you're playing Bravo, you got to earn it, right? You got to find the red with the fuel for it. In this case, an 11 attack dominated crippling crush against an opponent that's really, your protection is frankly just that trench. That is not enough to sort of get you around it. Are there traps? It's dominated. Like, you've got nothing in arsenal to sort of protect you here.
So here's the interesting play pattern. You can play one defense reaction, and because you're playing a card, you load one, and then after that resolves, if you put, with the Riptide ability, another trap into the arsenal, then you could throw that. Now, that's not enough to cover and stop the crush in this instance, but it is something you have to pay attention to for some of the smaller effects.
Yes. No, agreed. And the problem is the traps block for 3, right? So if there were 4 block traps, then that would have been a great opportunity.
Yes.
You can full coverage it and really sneak one through.
Yeah, there is that for traps, but it's not just traps, right? You could be, and now I'm not seeing them in this particular list, but you could be somebody who on top of traps was running something like Sink Below, for example.
Sure, yeah, but still, that's only covering 7.
Well, you could Sink Below and then load a Sink Below, because whatever card you put down, it can be anything with the Riptide ability.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. Now, this particular list, there are no Fate Foreseens, there are no Sink Belows. You are correct. There are none of those 4 blocks. But that is something that is within the Riptide play pattern. I have run into it, and I was like, oh, yeah, I guess that's a thing. Whoops.
All right, so the unfortunately, the life total on the screen is going to be frozen for a little bit here. So we're gonna do some quick mental math. But here is why you love Tunic in this situation. Because you're putting your opponent here, you're putting Riptide on a situation where, hey, you can't play D-Reacts, first of all. Secondly this is a one-card kind of gotcha moment with the 1 float and the Tunic available. You could pummel this and maintain an arsenal if you want to. Here it comes. Kaboom, baby! That is the red pummel. Charmer, you know you love this.
Oh, absolutely, because, again, my favorite thing to do in Flesh and Blood is make my opponent discard cards. There's just something so satisfying because you already have so many limited resources with your hand in Flesh and Blood, and when you can take one of those away, it's just very gratifying. But you are right. This is a powerful play in any matchup, but Command & Conquer is also just very effective into Riptide, as you said, because you can't play any D-Reacts anyway, and that includes all of the traps. There is theoretically a situation where you could play a Command & Conquer, and their hand could be bricked, and it would be just completely unblockable.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, that's the kind of nasty free pass you might want to have here. This is a Codex of Frailty, though. Creating a Frailty on the side of Nathan Crawford, a Ponder on Jeffrey's side. Going to go ahead and fetch. That is a Searing Shot.
Yeah, that should be a Searing Shot, which is, if I remember correctly, the on-hit is just more damage.
Yeah, just lose 1 life.
Yeah, we're a fan of. Sometimes the best on-hit is just more damage.
Hell yeah. Would you play a D-React or an attacker? Let's say there was a red pummel, but it was, instead of a +4 and discard, it was just +5.
I mean, I would just play both. Because I still want to make them discard. I love the discard.
Yeah, no, discarding is awesome, but I mean, like we said, the Searing Shot, it's a free pass, it's a free attack, and the on-hit is like, hey, this is like an on-hit, it's a 5 attack, right? So that's pretty good.
I will say that I have tried harder than I would like to admit to make cards like Toxicity work because the massive loss of life that can come from that feels pretty swingy.
That card, to say it PG style, messed me up in many an outsider's limited situation. It's just like, because you know it's happening. It's right there in front of the attack. It's like, if it hits, it's 5 more life loss. You're like, what? Pardon me? 5 life? That's a quarter of my life total. Like, what are you getting at here, bucko? Jeffrey doing a little bit of accounting here, kind of taking stock of what has been played. What has happened?
Well, and this is why we're taking so long to consider it, because right now I'm looking at the hand and I do see another Crippling Crush along with a suite of blues.
Well, and in this case, Charmer, I mean, if this is just like we said, vanilla damage, if this has no sprinkles, no chasers, no surprises, I mean, I'm pitching 3 blues and sending a fat crippling. I mean, you have to. Like, in what world, unless...
Well, so here's the thing. One of the things you have to consider is if you haven't played into Riptide in a while, you might be unsure about the matchup. And yes, you could take the vanilla damage and send the crippling, but if you let yourself get too low, right? Because we're so used to using health as a resource, and especially as Bravo, going down to 5 or less sometimes, very much the right thing to do if you can send the right dominated attack. However, if you do that and then you run into a trap or 2 and you've let yourself go too low and suddenly now you're within like reach of dying in reaction, that could be problematic. So maybe just to be safe, Nathan is saying, I want to be extra sure this is the right thing to do. Now, ultimately, is going to just end up taking the damage, but I do like taking a moment to say, okay, I want to be sure.
Okay, I can see the life pad. I think it's 8 to 9. I think Bravo's at 9. And here comes the big play, Charmer.
Yeah, so here comes the big play. I still think this was the right call, but it doesn't hurt to take the time to ensure, hey, this is exactly what I want to do. We are going to see the Endless Arrow and looks like the Trench go in front of this. We'll have to wait and see if that's a defense reaction or a trap that's also in the arsenal. But even if it's a trap, that's not enough to cover. No, I think this is just about trying to stay alive. And yes, going all the way down to 2 here.
Yeah, Riptide was at 9. My bad.
Yeah.
So the Bravo player at 8, Riptide at 2.
Yeah, and so that makes more sense why Nathan was taking the time if they were at 8. Because like I said, you don't want to get too low because the traps are irrelevant. And kind of taking a look at the next hand there. Oh, yeah, that's actually a beautiful hand because I saw a Zealous, a Macho Grande, and a Pummel.
Oh, boy. You've got and a D-React. So this is a turn where you can potentially, you can pummel the Zealous, which is always a surprise play. I don't know what's in Arsenal.
Yeah, we don't know what's in Arsenal. But you do have to survive to get there, right? So this is a Scar for Scar that obviously has go again with Jeffrey all the way down to 2 here. But this is also threatening half of your life if you are Nathan.
Yeah, it's tough because the unmovable is going to buy the other blue out of your hand, and that basically completely mucks up your turn. So you have to hold on to the unmovable as the fuel for your turn. That's how you're going to pay for whatever. It looks like we're just going to give up the Tunic here. That's the initial intent. Because, well, I think what Nathan's thinking here is that we're never going to see another turn beyond mine, and whether one way or another, I'm finishing you off or I'm gonna bite it. But we have to give this up here. So preserving the life total, not necessarily to a position where he's about to die. That was not a lifeline of a equipment block. It was merely let's just keep our life total as healthy as possible.
You don't want to die to a flurry of traps, ultimately.
All right. Well, Zealous Belting pitching the Macho Grande. Now, in this case, are you looking to just... You can just pummel over the top here. I think that's
exactly what you want to do on the belting, personally.
No cards in Arsenal for Jeffrey.
Because, again, if you're worried about traps... Well, there's one. So there's the frailty, and again, the damage. This is why you were trying to preserve your life total. So going down to 4 here. Oh, it's another pummel.
Double pummels. Ooh, you love to see it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man.
You love to see it. I love to see it. What a way
Jeffrey
to end that game. Jeffrey doesn't love to see it, but as a pummel aficionado, I approve of this message.
How many double pummels to end a game have you ever pulled off?
I've never pulled off a pummel.
A dummel?
Yeah, a dummel. You know where you dummy your opponent with a double pummel, a dummel? No, I've never done a double. I have done the crater fist, like using that into a pummel quite a few times. I think people forget crater fist has text outside of the block.
All right, let's take it back to us here. Let's talk about this real quick here. If Catch Production might be taking a nap. We're good? All right, we're coming back. No worries. It's all good. They were just as excited. They were calling their parents and saying, I saw a double pummel.
Production had to discard 2 cards as a result of the double pummel.
Yes, they were figuring that out. We're back, though.
We're back.
My best double pummel was actually I took a boatload of damage because I'm like, I got a one prayer, and it was a double pummel Command and Conquer. And I was like, let's ride.
Yeah, let's
and
just
let's
send
go.
14, and I don't have to worry about fates or sinks or anything because it's on CNC.
Yeah. Worst case is like I'm getting your entire hand, but ultimately it was lethal. That was one of the most epic wins I had. That's the kind of stuff you do when you're at the X4 table at a tournament. So great showing by both players, showing a little bit of what Riptide is capable of, and putting Nathan Crawford a little bit on edge in certain situations, making some awkward blocking decisions.
I actually really like what Nathan did in that matchup, which is to just go aggressive, not really respect the traps. Say, if you got it, you got it, but otherwise I'm going to dominate these attacks. I'm going to require you to have the traps, and if you don't, I'm going to rely on the crush effects and the damage leaking through. And we saw that work very effectively, right? Right from the beginning, we had the Starstruck, and then crippling crush, and then ending with a double pummel. It just feels so good as a Guardian player to see that.
The dummel. Friends, we're going to take a very brief break. We're going to come back and try to give you some stuff. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I think that sounds great.
Beauty.
We keep saying that, but we're going to actually do it.
Yeah, we are actually going to do it because this game was a little quicker than the other one. All right, so we'll be back. Short order. Don't go too far. Giveaways around the bend. It's the Realm Rumble in Columbus. Stay tuned.
Welcome in, everybody. I am lucky enough to be joined by a world's top 4 competitor, a member of the Fabled Runaways, and all around very nice guy. This is Dan Rutkowski. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
Yeah? You getting ready for the Rumble? I mean, currently, Rumble it's
currently
happening.
I'm rumbling.
Yeah, currently you're rumbling. Currently you're rumbling. But as of now, as you await to rumble,
I'm so excited.
Yeah, we are so excited to get everybody together and talk right now about one of the decks that was perhaps a surprise when it won the whole damn thing at the World Championships. Phi Rising Rebellion, the deck that you took to a top 4 finish last year at the World Championships. So I'm so glad that you agreed to take the time and share with us some of your insights on the hero. So I guess actually, before we talk about, Icelander leaving and getting to the deck, were you expecting Phi to do so well at Worlds, or did it come as a surprise to you as it did to me?
Oh, I was definitely surprised. I mean, the biggest shock was the amount of Phis to start. I think it was 45, which is like 10% of the meta. And we hadn't seen that leading up to the event at all. I think that certainly contributed to the success, but Phi's been a deck. It got really hurt by the Belittle ban, but it's always been a deck that can spike any event. Like, it's just so powerful when the draw lines up, and it can win any matchup if you get the cards you need to get it done.
Do you think it's helped by dual format events? Do you think having to the being able to use your skill expression in something like draft, which is much less, oh no, this is a Phi mirror, I lost the die roll and I just lose, is that part of the strength of the deck? Looking at, this is a split format as well, but the Rumble is day 1 all CC. So do you think it's something about the split format that helps a deck like Phi?
Yeah, I wish I checked the data on Phi's CC records, but I definitely think that contributes. Belittle really was the consistency glue for the deck. So the less games you play, the less likely you are to hit 4 red hands and hands that don't block well.
For sure.
Which is usually what leads to your losses as Phi.
100%. Well, let's talk about Fi now in the weekend that as everybody's currently rumbling. But first, I'm asking everybody. I'm asking all these experts. What happens to Fi Rising Rebellion now that Icelander Stormbind has left us? That was literally the finals in the World Championship. Icelander was what was trying to stop Fi from taking the whole thing down. Now she's gone. So talk to me a little bit about what Fi looks like moving forward, because people are saying he might be decked to beat.
I don't think that's unreasonable. I think Icelander was like a terrible matchup for Fi before.
Yeah.
It's all because of Belittle. Like, you have to have a blue every hand to beat Icelander, and Fi doesn't want that many blues in the deck because all your power is often reds, and usually you can operate without them. So I think Icelander leaving, and Icelander was like a huge part of the metagame. I think Fi stocks go way up. I do think the issue is that his stocks went up so high that now he might be the deck to beat, so people might be targeting him. You see this, we saw this in the past in waves with like Guardians teching in things like Chokeslam and Crush the Weak. Like, when the Guardian gets to tech for you specifically, it gets a lot harder. Because previously they have to care about Dromai and Icelander.
For sure.
And Fi's being popular also pushes Dromai down a little bit. So it's like a balancing act there. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a very good point. Yeah, I know I talked to Flake about his Bravo list, and he at the very end was just yelling about Crush the Week. Saying, put it in your decks. It's when Fi's good, Crush the Week is good. But let's talk about what makes Fi good. We have can I kind of some example lists here from you. Talk to me a little bit about. You're kind of to provide two different game plans in these Kodachis and in the Emberblade as well, but just talk to me a little bit about the macro of what it means to bring Fi to a tournament, what you're looking to do. If you want to start with Kodachi specifically, you can, but you're the master here, not me. So just talk to me a little bit about the deck and the game plans.
Yeah, for sure. I think in my mind, Fi is very much like a meta-dependent deck right now because you drop that consistency. So Fi is looking to feed on decks like Dromai, or really slow decks. Like when we saw Fatigue being popular, I was like ready to slam Fi because you have Phoenix Flames, right? You're like very hard to fatigue. Your weapon is an efficient 3 go again. At the end of the game, you can have 2 Phoenix Flames per turn, which is just no cards from deck, damage that has to be blocked. That's where I think his biggest appeal is. I guess at Worlds we saw Kodachis rise in popularity quite a bit. We're seeing a lot of hybrid builds. I want to shout out the world champion because the list we're talking about here, I took his list and I made some modifications just to kind of talk about what you might see come up in the meta. But the idea the appeal rather of Kodachis is massive momentum triggers, right?
Totally.
Which I think is probably the best way to play the aggro matchups now is subbing Kodachis and just threatening draw triggers and trying to outvalue your opponent that way. In addition, with the Belittle ban way back, it's hard to support 1 and 2 cost cards in the deck now, because your efficient turn, right? You're spending 2 on your Emberblade. You only have $1 extra per turn. So if you ever draw 2 1-costs, you just like can't use them. But the Kodachis are kind of modular, where you can use 1 Kodachi, you can use 2 Kodachis, or you can use no Kodachis, and it's no big deal.
Sure.
Which allows you to play more of the powerful 1-costs, like the new Bittering Thorns that we got from the Round the Table set, right? This is just like another copy of Mounting Anger that isn't Draconic. Certainly a drawback, but it hits whatever your next attack is. You don't have to banish a certain card, so that's very strong there. You'll see a lot of decks running Ancestral Empowerment or similar effects. I think this card's really good because it blocks for 3. If you've played Fi, having 3 blocks instead of 2 blocks at the right time is like the difference between winning and losing most games. But having attack reactions for just 1 damage is huge game when you're playing Mask of Momentum. Like, converting that to a damage and a card is insane value. But when you're also only pumping by 1 instead of like a Razor Reflex, and they blocked your attack perfectly, now they're losing a bunch of value if they de-react, and it's like you got the card advantage anyway. So look out for those, or think about playing those if you're playing Fi. Blaze is always an all-star in the deck. 4 go again. That's what more can you ask for? It's a breakpoint. Not a starter. You need to play a red card before that, but we have plenty of those in the deck. You usually see 9 copies of Brand with Cinderclaw for the Kodachi package specifically. it's somewhat difficult to get to your Phoenix Flame when playing Kodachis, and that is like one of the main reasons to play Fi is that you get a free Phoenix Flame attack every turn, which also helps you trigger your Shuko. So that's what Brand is there for. It's turning these non-draconic attacks into draconic, so we can get to that flame most turns. Double Strike is a pretty interesting card. It lets you have 2 attacks for the price of 1 card. I think it's pretty suboptimal in Emberblade builds, but when you're playing Kodachis, your objective is usually to get to 2 mass triggers per turn, and Double Strike is probably the best way to do that. You could do something like Flameclaw Awakening, which we'll talk about later, but that's harder to pull off. 0 cost 2 chain links is quite strong. E-Strike is kind of just the most flexible in the game, card in the game rather, probably. It works in big hands, it works in 2-card hands, and it blocks 3. It's just kind of like give you consistent plays regardless of your draws. That's one of the ways to make up for your 4 red hands. Being able to do a big attack without pitching is very nice. Not too much to say about Lava Burst. That's just a super efficient ender, right? Attacking for 5 or 6 with 1 card is exactly what you want to be doing. It's probably a lot of the appeal of Fi over, say, like Katsu, is that you have these efficient finishers like that. Mounting Anger, we kind of talked about. Bittering Thorns, just one of the best starters. If you can support the 1 cost, that card is great. If you start the turn with that, you're kind of forcing your opponent to decide, like, am I going to give you 1 point of value now and waste my block, or am I going to wait for the Kodachi trigger? And when you're doing things like that and playing attack reactions and trying to get these triggers, you really want to be playing that mind game with your opponent of saying, like, hey, what do you want to do with this? Like, you don't know what these other 4 cards are, or 3 cards. Just trying to make decisions hard for your opponent as much as possible. I think if you're playing Kodachis, you want to be looking at 1 Phoenix Flame only, unless you want to support Flameclaw Awakening. I think you can, but with the addition of Bittering Thorns, it's kind of a more efficient play in Kodachi builds. And Phoenix Flames, if you draw them, are obviously the worst card in the game, probably.
Terrible.
Yeah. Rabble's a cool card. I don't think every list will play it. It's just kind of, I think that was kind of like the simple replacement for Belittle when it went away. It doesn't help your consistency as much, but it's just another go again that has the upside of being 4 go again, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
It's a little unreliable in Mask of Momentum builds, obviously, because you don't know if you're coming in for that 4 breakpoint like you want to, or if it's just going to be a dud and attack for 2 and get equipment blocked. We have our 0 for 3 starters in Rising Resentment and Ronin Renegade. That's the bread and butter of the deck. Play a Draconic card to start. Continue your chain, enable your extenders, and get to that Lava Burst finish at the end. Snatch is just one of the best great cards in all of Flesh and Blood. Like, attacking for 4 and potentially drawing a card in 1 card. I don't think there's anything better. Having access to attack reactions like Art of War Next allows for some like pretty big setup plays. If you land that on your Mask of Momentum trigger and then you pump it and get to draw 2, it's pretty game winning usually most of the time. Art of War is of course like the power card of the deck. You're looking to play this off of Tunic usually, or at least 5-card hands. As you play the deck, you'll probably find playing 2 Art of Wars in the same turn is usually inefficient. Kodachis can get away with it a little more, but when you're playing Everblade especially, like, you just don't have the resource curve to support your potential draws and 2 Art of Wars because they cost 1. So you usually want to play 1 and set the other if you see them in the same sequence. I think one of the biggest upsides of playing Kodachis is Salt the Wound. This card was already incredible on the Emberblade side. Here we're playing Mask of Momentum, so we won't be tutoring off of Pouncing Links yet. We'll talk about that later. But you have your Kodachis, right? So if those both hit, you're already attacking for 4, that's great. And then it's all upside from there. You're playing cards like Double Strike, which really makes Salt the Wounds go crazy. When you're playing Kodachis, this card can get up to like 8, 9, 10 power off of 1 card, which is absolutely insane. Next we have our blue package. We had the blue brands already, but here we just have our blue block 3s. These are kind of interchangeable. I would always play Soul Beast Strikes if Jomai's in the meta. That card is insanely good for a blue. Like 2 guaranteed go again if you hit a dragon is just so strong. You definitely want these to block for 3, at least in any meta that I can anticipate. The rest are kind of flexible. Warmongers is extremely strong at showing up your bad matchups. Things like Azalea, Dorinthia. They don't always like win you the game, but it gives you play where you didn't have play before. So that's kind of the core of the deck. Definitely would be playing these cards. If you go to the sideboard, I have single copies of 5 different cards. These are kind of what I see as the popular flex picks right now. It's kind of like choose your own adventure for these. At 1 cost, you have Breaking Point, which is extremely punishing for decks that are trying to set up big turns with an arsenal. Censor, which has big game if there's specific cards that lead to you losing the game. Say you're about to arsenal a card, you can just call CNC in decks that call CNC, or Command and Conquer rather. Take the Tempo kind of builds into the game plan of I'm going to threaten to draw a bunch of cards and make it difficult to know when to block. Like in this deck, you could start the turn with a Mounting Anger, get to your Mass Trigger, and after they block both of those, end the turn with Take the Tempo. It's just so devastating. So the way the deck is built, you probably only want to pick 1 or 2 of these to play. I'm currently planning to play 2 copies of one of these cards. You could probably support up to 4. And then at the 2 cost slot, you have, of course, Command and Conquer. This card, historically very powerful. It's a no-brainer. If it's good in the meta, you can consider playing it. I think that's, again, one of the biggest upsides of playing Kodachis is you can support Command and Conquer. I don't think you should be playing 2 cost cards in your Ember Blade build if you have one, because it just...
Welcome, everybody, to, I suppose, a memorial of sorts.
It certainly feels like a few.
I mean, if you've been watching Twitter at all in these last days, you've seen a number of touching tributes for, honestly, a whole host of heroes. But I am here joined by Rhea Adams on Hit Effect, if you've watched any of her incredible streams. We are here because we were all set up to do an Icelander little deck tech for this Realm Rumble, and then all of a sudden the rug was pulled out from under us. So we're gonna do something slightly different. But I guess before we're gonna just talk a little bit about our favorite, because we were both love the hero, love Icelander. We'll talk a little bit about the hero and what we loved about Icelander, but then look ahead as to what the meta really looks like now and how to prepare if you're a pro player or someone coming to an event for an Icelander-less meta. But before we get into any of that, I would just love to hear from you, my friend, a little bit of your kind of initial thoughts and feelings. What was it like? Where were you when you heard?
Oh my gosh. So I knew going into Worlds there was a chance for her to go away. And so prepping for the Realm events, I was like, all right, contingency plans are necessary. I've been cheating on the side a little bit, practicing a couple of decks, and then it didn't happen at Worlds, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm ready to play Icelander. Here's how my list is going to look. And Battle Hardened Wallonia happened, and I had forgotten about Battle Hardened Wallonia until about 2 days before Battle Hardened Wallonia, and I was informed that she wasn't in the clear yet. And I was like, okay. Well, I had contingencies, and I just sat here glued to my computer all of Saturday morning as the Battle Hardened was happening, just like getting live reports from on the ground. There was no stream, but I knew a couple people there, and so it's just like, what's happening? Please tell me. Yeah, so I was very in tune as the news broke.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's actually maybe cosmically a little. It's tragic that you are. One thing I forgot to mention at the beginning. You are two-time a back-to-back damn near battle-hardened champion with the deck Icelander, and then it was a battle-hardened that took her out, sadly.
Yeah.
But so
very fitting.
You had mentioned, looking ahead to the Realm Rumble and bringing Icelander to the event. So do you mind just telling us a little bit about like how your deck would have looked? Were you bringing anything spicy? Did you have any like new changes in game plan for the event before everything went down?
As far as my lists go, I was planning on being very spicy, which means you know, I was going to play closer to a stock Icelander list. Star for a star was going to be in my 80. Oh my god. Mind blown. But of course, Red Aether Hail, my love, was going to be in there as well. I really enjoyed seeing those cards in the world's top 8 lists. I think they found a really nice blend between the attack action strategies and the more arcane focused strategies, and I was really inspired by those lists. Was probably going to end up taking something similar to those in terms of like where my deck building was for the deck
Yeah, totally.
up until last Saturday.
Up until the moment. So, you know, briefly, we're going to look ahead into the new summer, into the warmer months ahead. But just take, you know, a couple minutes. You are one of the people that are so like, you know, connected to Icelander. People associate you with the hero along with, you know, some other luminary names in the field. But what was it about the hero for you that made her not only so like enticing and like competitively interesting, but fun and skill expressive, you know, as you looked to express yourself in the game?
Yeah, I mean, so personally, Wizard is my favorite class. And
All right, friends, we're back, and before the players get shuffled up and ready to go here, I don't know if this is actually... Can they see this production? Are they good for this? Did they see that?
Yeah, they probably did.
Well, if they caught it, they caught it. Good for them. Here's
Well,
the
hope
deal.
you're paying attention.
Damn right, because we've got a giveaway, and as the players are shuffling up and dealing, we're going to give away this playmat, okay? This playmat, plus we're going to throw in this Sealed Realm draft pack. Why not? Is that a good deal?
I
That's
think
a good
so.
deal. So the winner is going to be the person, magically, who was paying attention. Very simple, Charmer. Tell them how they can win.
If you can tell us after whoever it is that's in production puts now in the chat, so
No, that's not happening.
No, we're
I'm
just
paying
doing
attention.
it. All right,
We're doing
right
it live.
now, right now. First person to tell us the 2 heroes that are going to be in the next feature match. So
What-
XVX, what heroes?
And I'm paying attention, and I ain't taking any flack from anybody. So the first person to name the 2 heroes that are going to be facing off in our final match gets the
So if
playmat.
you think it's going to be Icelander versus Lexi, well, then I've got bad news for you. But that's what we're looking for. Who versus who in terms of heroes for our final
Starvo
feature
versus Chain.
match of the day.
All right, Kasai versus
Kano.
Kano. I haven't seen it yet. Keep going, baby. I will stop it when we get there. Oh, I found it. We got it. Respiratore. Respiratore wins it. It is a Dromai mirror. That's what we're finding. Absolutely. We did tease half of it. So Respiratore, if you can contact us at, you send the message to
Order.
Is it order or orders?
I don't know. You were the one who had
I
the
was
note.
not the one. This is a Sam O'Byrne thing. We're good. So here's the deal. Email orders at Realm Gaming. Production, help us out here. What's the email? They just threw this. Orders at orders.therealm@gmail.com. Sorry about that. You win this.
We're professionals.
Send us, say, hey, I won the playmat and the draft pack respiratory. And so orders.therealm@gmail.com with just whatever. And if you freaking lie to us and you email them and said you won it and it's not you, you're a bad person. We don't
Flake
like that
has
dude.
a particular set of skills.
I have a particular set of skills.
And they are
Mostly-
Star Wars references.
Oh,
and
you took it right out of my
binge-watching
mouth.
Seinfeld.
Correct. It's all 90s references. So thank you so much. Again, orders.therealm@gmail.com. Respiratore, thank you very much. We appreciate you throwing in this draft pack. You know what else we're going to do? Here's a good option. Very, very simple. Very simple.
The players are waiting. What we're going to do is we're going to take
I
a
was gonna
short
give
break
away
to
some
get
stuff.
Sam in here, and Sam and I are going to call an amazing match.
Deal. All right, Sam's ready to rock and roll. Let's go. I think the match is good. I'm done. Thank you so much. Round number 14, around the bend. Dromai Mirror, Aaron Chance versus Mara Ferris. There you go. Let's just do a little switcheroo. You ready for this? Sure. Smoke and mirrors. Watch this. Kaboom.
This is through the magic of production. You don't see this.
We're here.
Hello,
We're live.
Mr. Teklavasan.
Hello.
We are live. Welcome back.
Thank you.
I've missed you.
I've been deep
in the pits of metrics. I've been working on my whole dig here. All credit to Elaine Homentree for making this, because I didn't make any of it.
Yeah, there is a great cosplay contest going on today here at the Realm Invitational. And on top of that, we have people like Elaine participating in the festivities. She dressed up as Embodiment of Earth, and it looks outstanding.
Yes.
She did a phenomenal job. But we are getting ready to go into the last round before our cut to top 8. And this is a very, very important matchup. It is a Dromai mirror between Aaron Shantz and Mara Ferris. So again, Aaron, who did phenomenally at Worlds, Mara Ferris, very famously second at Pro Tour Baltimore. She was also the 32nd spot, the last person when we did the day 2 cut, and has rallied back to this likely win-in situation here. So a lot on the line.
Yeah, this is really an incredible story for, I mean, there's 2 different pretty amazing storylines here. First, a Dromai mirror between, and I mean this without hyperbole, 2 of the very best Dromai players in the entire world. Mara Ferris, second at Pro Tour Baltimore on her own version of this deck that she has just taken to incredible heights and inspired like a legion, an army, shall we say, of fans around the globe who play after her Empress style. Aaron Shantz, a consistent innovator on the deck, a more consistently like big dragon, quote-unquote, approach, something that plays more blues, a little more controlling, a little more...
When you say more blues, Mara has cut all the blues.
Yeah,
from
I'm
her.
aware.
She only runs.
I'm aware.
The only yellows even are 3 copies of that. All you got, and then as you said, on the side of Aaron Shantz, we do have some blues. Also, some of the bigger dragons, right? Tomultai is there. Dominia is there. And those are missing from Mars because she takes a far more aggressive approach.
Absolutely. And the other storyline, kind of as you alluded to, Mara Ferris was our 32nd seed, the literal end of the run here, right at the edge of the bubble, but managed to squeak into day 2. And now it all depends on how these tiebreakers shake out. A 14-round tournament after a cut to top 32 means that people are live till very late in the day, even when you've taken a series of losses beyond your first or your second. So it's going to depend on the tiebreakers, but really incredible for Mara to battle back to this position. And I mean, like, when we saw these 2 names on the bracket, it was just too good to pass up, especially when it's a potential win-in scenario for either player.
Or situation, whichever.
Situation scenario, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Listen,
Situation-ario.
I feel for you because when I'm excited, my brain goes faster than my mouth, and that's happened a lot this weekend because I've been very excited for a lot of these matchups. All of our matchups today have been phenomenal. And I also have a bit of insight because I got a chance to talk to Mara yesterday, and she said she wasn't even originally planning on playing in this event. She had qualified for it, but she thought she was going to show up, come and do art commissions. But since Worlds, she's been building up a backlog, she said. She was like, hey, if I come and I take commissions, I won't be able to get through them, so I might as well play. And now she is 1 win away from the top 8. We're going to start this game with a Yenderai.
Yenderai after the gold token, so a couple Ash left over for Mara, developed that arsenal as well. Now going to go ahead and ship the turn back to Aaron Shantz. Let's see how similar his own turn is. These gold tokens, a wonderful way to get Ash on your turn as well as draw a card. The Crown of Dominion doing double duty there, creating that gold token, but also making sure these Draconic Illusionists are as royal as they appear for that incredible Tome of Imperial Flame, the card that just has broken these Dromai decks wide open. And there it is to start the game. Why not? Let's go ahead and draw 2 cards. A couple more to the pitch zone are sure to follow. Tome of Imperial Flame, it's pretty good on turn 0 as well. Those 2 Ash, critical to start the game, and you get that gold token left over for later.
So the thing to be watching for here, as we alluded to, Aaron is on a larger version of Dromai, and if you start with Tome, you might be able to chain into one of those larger dragons like the Dominia or like potentially the Tomultai. You could take away something like a Furnace with a high roll here, and that could be a very big deal. So we're going to have to see how this is followed up. Another reason to feature these 2 players is Mara has arguably the prettiest Dromai deck in all of Flesh and Blood because it is filled with marvels and gold foils, and if you can bling it, she has got it.
Absolutely. Both those players rocking the Marvel Crown of Dominion, making sure that they're, again, as royal as they need to be. You see the Marvel Ash there for Aaron Shantz. A couple cards headed to the pitch zone there, looking like a Sink Below and a Command and Conquer, ready for later in the game if you need to shore up a Kyloria with the Sink Below. Command and Conquer, not only such a powerful card in the matchup, but also a way to pop a dragon. Speaking of dragons, we're just going to clear that endurance counter away by creating an Aether Ashwing with the instant speed effect of the Silken form. Time for a Chromai to join the fray. That's going to go ahead. No pitch needed to be used for that, just clearing both Ash. There are 2 cards left, it appears, for Aaron Shantz. So what do you think of using the Silken form aggressively like that after a Cadaverous Contraband follows with those 2 floating?
I really like using it, and it also gives us the opportunity to highlight the difference in equipment, because obviously Mara not running the Silken Gloves, instead has the Iron Rock Gauntlets, but also because Aaron is on this slightly larger version of Dromai, the boots there are the Mage Master boots, because he's also running the second tome, if you will, the Tome of Fyendal, whereas Mara on the Snapdragons, because she is, again, very aggressive with her build, this Contraband showing up as a big attack, and I think I was going to say that it's just going to land here, which is going to allow...
He can put a non-attack action from his graveyard on top of his deck. That card is going to be a Tome of Imperial Flame. Aaron Shantz now has a chance to recur this Tome and play 4 of them before his... He's going to play a second,
3.
maybe in 2 turns.
Yeah, 4 cards drawn, but we know what one of them is. And this is why she let it happen, because she says, you know what? I have my own Tome, and I'm just going to pressure back. Now, the real question is she going to clear out the dragons, or is she just going to engage in the race? I feel like you have to at least clear out the Chromai. That's one of the key dragons that Dromai is traditionally looking for.
This is just an incredibly massive couple of first turns. We're able to clear the Yunderai easily for Aaron Shantz on that first turn, as well as send the Cadaverous Contraband, a card that I assumed had to be a must block, given that just incredibly powerful effect of recurring, again, one of the single most powerful cards, maybe in the game right now, but certainly in this Dromai deck. You put it right back on top of the deck if the Cadaverous Contraband hits, and Mara Ferris said, you know what, send me the bill. I'm made of stronger stuff because my Tome is sure to be as impactful. I have more Ash than you to work with, so let's see how that shapes out for her, because we're going to have to see how powerful that Tome is next turn.
This is also one of the interesting bits, because both of these decks have a lot of what I call accounting, right? You have Ash to work with, you have Ash Wings, you have the dragons. There's a lot to consider. We are going to get a second Yunderai, and in the mirror, I think that this does a bit more lifting than most people realize, because it takes more effort to clear it out. On that first turn, again, we saw it was Ash Wing into Chromai just to get rid of the first one. Obviously, the emphasis there. Now we're going to activate the Furnace, which is going to generate more resources for Mara to use, and then we're going to go into a Rake. So again, that Ash that you had alluded to, well, we get to turn it into Ash Wings, and those will allow her to hopefully clear up the opposing dragons should she choose. And yeah, the Yunderai is going to clear that up. We're going to have 1 wing into another wing, and then have 2 left to work with, and still a card in hand.
And a card in arsenal, and it's going to, first, before any more Ash Wings are sent, it's going to be a Billowing Mirage. We're immediately going to go ahead and turn an Ash into an Ash Wing. So both players being very aggressive with their Ash usage early. This is going to be 3 damage with Go again, creating that Aether Ash Wing, 3 left. So Mara's going to be left at the end of this turn with Sans Popper with 4 Aether Ash Wings and a Dragon, but Aaron is going to be able to respond with that Tome of Imperial Flame. This is going to be an interesting series of turns here. I was literally getting ready to say, like, Mara's dream scenario here is probably something like Rake the Embers in order to make sure that she can get rid of the Aether Ashwing easily. The question is, you know, in the Dromai Mirror, the first player to play Aether Ashwing, if the other player is able to, Rake the Embers, if the other player is able to respond with their own, it's just backbreaking. You just watch all of your Ashwings get cleared away virtually for nothing. So let's see what Aaron's able to respond with. We know he has the Tome in the hand. Let's begin first, it looks like, by just popping the gold token.
We now have the gold so that he can get his own Ash to work with. And this is just going to be, I think, a very fun back and forth between these 2 players of power turns, because we're essentially going to have Tome turn followed by Tome turn, and then you guessed it, likely another Tome turn here after the Cadaverous Contraband. And there is said Tome, but after the gold token. So once this ends up pitching the 2 extra red cards here, this means if Aaron wants to, you could activate Furnace and get a million. Just a million. All of the resources, a cornucopia, a plethora of pitch, if you will. And if he is, again, sitting on something like a Tomotai or some of these bigger dragons that Mara's not running, that might be a very big deal.
Yeah, I mean, you could just get up to 5 resources
immediately.
There,
That's easy
there
to
it
do
is. There's the furnace.
Spend
There's
one.
not even enough value
Yep.
there. We're going
Right
to go
on
all
up
the way
to
up to
5.
5.
Ooh,
And
and the-
Mage Master into a Tome of Fyendal. So again, mentioning that other tome, this is why Aaron likes to run this version. Drawing cards is fun.
Dromai proving to be a bit of a librarian here. Aaron has read 3 books in 2 turns. Just absolutely studious is this Canadian on the Draconic Illusionist deck. 3 left to work with, as well as I think at least 3 in the hand, maybe more. 1 in the arsenal. Nothing's been developed yet. You've already activated the Flamescale Furnace, but now all the Ash you could dream of. 4 Ash there on a turn like this. 3 resources. You're most likely not going to need to pitch anything in your hand moving forward unless things are pretty expensive. This is going to be an Asvali. We're using an Ash immediately. And Asvali is another incredibly efficient way to clear Aether Ashwings. 2 instances of 1 arcane damage to any target upon the swing. You could clear the Endurance token or 2 of the Aether Ashwings. And it looks like, 3 of them are just going to be eaten up by this lightning-breathing beast.
It's a great answer, essentially, to an entire rake. So while you didn't find your own rake, you do have the way to clear it. And then we also have the Kyloria coming down, followed by the Command and Conquer to clear it up.
So after all that, it really felt like Mara was in a position to just have all these dragons left over, but this is how the Dromai Mirror can be. Dragons clearing back and forth until one player is able to just keep 1, and then they're able to keep 2, and then they're able to keep 3, or a kind of snowballing effect off of something like a Tome of Imperial Flame. But that whole turn was only possible because Mara let the Cadaver's Contraband hit rather than give 2/3 blocks to the blocking cause and allowed for a second tome to be played in 2 turns.
Now, if I know anything about Mara, I feel like she's probably pretty okay with that outcome. What she says to me about these Dromai Mirrors is that if she can continue to leak damage, right? If I develop stuff, but I also leak damage, and then the other Dromai player just clears my dragons, but because they're on a less aggressive version, they don't continue to pressure, I can get ahead. That's why she likes this lean, more aggressive version. And so we're going to have to see what the follow-up turn is here. Now, she declared a snatch toward her opponent. Obviously, Snapdragons are still live, so we're going to wait and see what the result is here. And we're going to have a Furnace plus a block, but the Snap does come down so that we can continue to extend the turn. I see a second Snatch in hand as well as a Mirror Guy, but I do think this is her game plan. She wants to continue to pressure. Flame Call, I know she's a big fan of this card because fetching the Phoenix Flame means you get to also essentially play that for free. It costs 1, but you get the 1 back, but it also generates the Ash.
Phoenix Flame here almost certainly going to be fed into the Flame Scale Furnace or some other type of effect in order to get it back into the deck, make another Ash, utilize some more resources. Let's see how Mara wants to go about this here.
And again, that went toward Aaron, so 3 damage taken. Like I said, this has been her game plan. At least when I talked to her about this matchup, how you navigate the mirror, she says, I want to leak damage and then clear the dragons because they're just going to clear my dragons back. And if I can continue that, I will gain the tempo. So now she finds the Asvali here, and it does look like she's going to clear a dragon while also threatening a damage, and they're going to clean that up. So the 1 going there, and then also cleans up the Kyloria.
Yeah, Asvali is going to hit into the Kyloria. Kyloria only 2 health. So the
and
other
then
arcane...
the Snatch will just clean up the other dragon. So exactly the game plan I was talking about. You leak damage, clean up their dragons. And if you can rinse and repeat that, then you're going to get ahead. And that's why I go back to, I say, I think she was okay with that big turn ending the way it did because he created all those resources but didn't make a Tumultide, didn't make a Dominaria. So ultimately, if they don't get their big power splash plays, I feel like she's okay with that.
Got an Asvali for her troubles and 1 Ash after all this. Aaron's working with 2 Ashes himself. Looks like he's going to go ahead and play out of Kyloria, smack into the Asvali himself. So like we said, dragons being cleared. Time to just play Remembrance right from Arsenal. We're going to go ahead and grab 3 of our most impactful cards. Cadaver's Contraband, it's a popper, but also we saw super relevant on-hit effect. Asvali as well, a way to clear the Aether Ashwings as well as other incidental points of value by getting rid of endurance counters and the like. Let's see what the 3rd card is. If it's going to be another Tome of Imperial Flame. And if it is, that Tome has been there and back again with the graveyard 2 times already. Just going to go ahead and go on the ride of its life, it feels like.
Yeah, we're going to have to change that to the Tome of the Hobbit because it has been there and back again, as you said. Instead, we are grabbing the Command and Conquer. So I feel like just wanting to put more poppers back in the deck. knowing that Mara likes to be aggressive, having anything that could potentially shut down the turn does feel very important, does feel relevant. And after that tome has been played twice and ultimately didn't net you a ton of value, I think that this might be the right call.
See what happens now that the deck has been shuffled. Looks like it's just going to be an arsenal for Aaron. So both players just at the end of these last turns been left with just the one dragon. This is a fight of philosophy, a fight of deck building styles. It's all come down to this, folks. The last round of the Realm Rumble here. It's a Dromai mirror between two of the best in the entire world piloting their own ideologies with the hero. I mean, it just kind of writes itself.
Yeah, and again, Aaron's turn cleans up the dragons, but Mara looking to likely get rid of Kyloria, but continue to pressure. That's what she wants. That's why she has this nearly all red, and honestly, she's probably only running reds in this version. Again, the only non-red cards in her entire 80-card list are 3 copies of That All You Got, which traditionally you bring in for the Fi matchup, but we have another Rake here making some Ash Wings. We're going to use 2 of them to clean up the Kyloria and then send a Command and Conquer saying, okay, you arsenaled a card. How much do you want to keep it?
Really powerful effect here, especially that the Flamescale Furnace was already used to block the Snatch, so you can't utilize that, plus anything like a Sand Cover any way to prevent the damage. No defense reactions can be played on Command & Conquer, something that I consistently forget when I'm casting. No, Sand Cover would work.
I was going to say, Sand Cover's not,
I saved myself. I was going to say Sink Below, but every time I'm casting Command & Conquer, I'm like, well, you could use, a Sink Below on this, and whoever I'm with is like, no, you can't. Not when I'm playing.
I mean, you can. It's just going to result in a judge call.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. You can do whatever you like. This Command & Conquer, though, coming in 4/6, threatening to clear out that arsenal. Not something anybody enjoys doing. So 2.
Wow, that is actually that is impressive. That is a good get for Mara. So didn't leak damage this time, but did clean up the dragons and got rid of 2 Chromais. Now we're going to see a pitching of the Cadaverous here, but just going with a casual 1 for 7.
1 for 7. This is a Miraging Metamorph coming on in. If you pop it, going to give a copy of an Aura controlled, but no popping's happening here. No blocking's happening here.
No popping, no blocking, and I think Mara just likes her hand and says, you know what, I can take this because there's no relevant on-hits or anything, and then I'm just going to bring the heat because my deck is better at that consistently. Also, because of the Scar for Scar, taking the damage activates that, so naturally has the go again. She says, aha, you fell into my trap. I am going to trade you 1 Simba's Uncle for another, a Scar for Scar.
And because of those 2 cards needing to be committed to the Command & Conquer here, Mara leaking some damage, but also having some Aether Ashwings left over after whatever happens here. She's going to have those Aether Ashwings available to her to continue the onslaught. Let's see what goes on next. Only 1 Ash to work with, but a red card has been played, which means Flamescale Furnace is online. Ash when you need it, Ash on the go. Let's see how she wants to continue her turn. 27 to 30. She's going to throw down a Skittering Sands. That means the Ash gone. Aether Ashwing created. +3, yes. 0 for 4 is online.
And I really like this because she knows Aaron has quite a bit more poppers than she does, and I think she's trying to get him to use them on the Ash Wings as opposed to more relevant dragons later. She continues to present these either Skittering Sands or these other ones saying, all right, if you want to use them here, like it might shut down the turn, but ultimately that's something I'm okay with. Now, she's not attacking with them yet. She's also likely going to continue to develop here and then send them, so we're going to see a Rake as well.
I believe her 3rd Rake. So this is just going to go ahead and create the 2 Ashwings because she's literally just going to go ahead and utilize every Aether Ashwing. She's not worried about making Ash. This is something that she mentioned to me when we had a discussion for the deck techs that have been going up this weekend, is that she trusts her deck.
So there is the popper.
The Ash. And Aaron trusts the Command & Conquer to get rid of the Ashwing there.
Yeah, she does get one of the poppers that I think she was looking for. She can arsenal that other card that she didn't play, but she still has 5 Ashwings. So, like I said, getting the popper to be used on these cards that are a little bit less relevant than the bigger dragons, like the Asvalize and so forth. We have a Rake answering a Rake, so 3 Ashwings cleaning up 3 of hers, but she still has 2 left over.
Not anymore.
No, not anymore. The Asvali What a beautiful answer by Aaron.
I was going to say, I was getting ready. In the Dromai matchup, Ashwings don't last long, especially when only one player has really been able to resolve Rake the Embers. So those cards are now gone for Mara here. She has used those. They're not coming back. She's got no recursion really in that list. So Aether Ashwings are going to be more challenging for Mara to deal with for the rest of this game.
Looking at her hand, she might have kind of painted herself into a corner. I see a Burn Them All, I see a Chromai, a Thamai, and I think it's a Blaze Headlong, which means she doesn't have a good way to make more Ash given the hand, nor does she have a way to like give the Blaze Headlong go again without playing one of these other red cards first. So we're going to start with the Burn Them All, because that will at least turn on the Blaze Headlong. It's going to depend on what that other card is in her arsenal, but yeah, using all of the Ash might have actually resulted in an awkward turn.
Well, she turns on her Flamescale Furnace as well with the Burn Them All. So perhaps, again, Ash when you need it, Ash on the go. So that's a way you could make the one Ash off the Flamescale Furnace, spend it immediately on the Chromai, but then you're in the same kind of position you were before and only able to really clear one of the dragons on the board. And you know that Chromai is just going to immediately get eaten up by the other dragons on the other side. So Burn Them All, also an incredibly relevant card in the matchup when Aether Ashwings aren't part of the equation. Unfortunately for Mara, she is staring down 3 of them. So there's the potential for Arcane Barrier on Aaron Chance's side, but you have to imagine he's not wanting to use his cards in that manner at this time, and it looks like we are going to see that Flamescale Furnace activation to make an Ash that she might have to spend on that Chromai or whatever that arsenal card is. Can't quite make it out. It's going to be the Chromai first. Let's go ahead and make that action point. Again, Mara trusting her deck. She's saying, I can find Ash in another way. She's going to probably have to take out the Asvalai here, but 2 of those Aether Ashwings are going to have that, or 3 of the Aether Ashwings are going to have the Chromai's name on it.
Yeah, so the Asvalai does go away.
And we do have Arcane Barrier 3 as a result, so Arcane Barrier going to be utilized there, pitching the Tome of Findall. Time for a Snatch. Let's just clear an Aether Ashwing. That's going to use the action point gained off of the Chromai, so basically go again now here. She is able to draw a card off the effect, clear an Aether Ashwing because the Snatch has hit.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful way to continue to extend this kind of awkward hand and make the most of it. As you said, the Arcane Barrier stopped that Burn Them All trigger, but that is also something that if you can keep the Ashwings off the board will inevitably lead to leaking damage. Now we're going to pitch this Blaze Headlong. Oh, to set up a Nourishing.
She's got plenty of attacking actions in there, however, so this is
Yeah,
just
so
going to
this
be coming in for 6.
This is just going to come in for 6, but this is something that I personally really enjoy about Dromai is this Nourishing not going to land. However, Burn Them All, when she starts banishing, you can prioritize the attack actions, so if she draws into another one, future ones can actually end up being live. That's something we'll have to pay attention to.
Burn Them All, yeah, kind of doing double duty there, getting arcane damage across as well as filtering out cards from the graveyard for those cheeky Nourishing Emptinesses. I remember when I saw that for the first time being like, dude, that's so cool.
And rightfully so, right? The first card banished was an attack action in the Snatch, and that is 100% what's going to be prioritized here because future Nourishings can be really impactful, and they do sneak up on you because you're like, okay, the first one came down and it wasn't live, and then all of a sudden, whoops, the second one has Dominate and Threatens an Intellect.
Looks like Dust Up there going to be spent to clear the Chromai. Made the Ash off the Dust Up trigger, but not creating the Aether Ashwing, saving those Ash for further, more consequential dragons. But that's all that was done. So 2 Aether Ashwings left over. Mara has to respect those. And again, with those Rake the Embers in the graveyard, going to have a little more of a challenging time. Needs to find an Asvalai and needs to find one soon. Does have a number of dragons perhaps in the hand. They're going to wait and see how she deploys them. Is she going to be able to continue her strategy of leaking damage while creating dragons in a way that only a deck with the density of attack actions like hers can?
All right, so it looks like we're going to pitch the Chromai to pay for the 3rd Yendrai. And that's going to generate some Ash, and then that also allows her to... I know they're kind of fast through this because they're both pros, but... going to get that Coloria online as well while generating the Ash and doing so. Ultimately, it's going to result in 2 bigger dragons than the Ashwings. Now the question becomes, do you just use those to clean up the other 2? And it also looks like that damage from the Burn Them All is going to leak through. And yes, that is what happened.
Both dragons being cleared by their larger counterparts. Yendrai going to come in with that Endurance counter. Kylorius sitting there with A little easier to take down, just 2 health, threatening that on hit. Let's see, do we have some go again or some dragons represented? The first one's going to be a Yenderai of Aaron's own. That's going to probably run right into the Caloria unless we have another way to clear it. Let's see. Looks like another dragon's coming down. 2 Yenderais.
2
hitting the field.
Yenderais.
Aaron's saying, listen, I can have my Marvel Crown of Dominion, but that's kind of where the buck stops. I'm fine with just the good old paper dragons. We're going to send one into the Caloria, clear the endurance counter, another dust up coming in, and it looks like this one is going to buy an Aether Ashwing from the on-hit effect. So 2 Yenderais with endurance counter and an Aether Ashwing left over for Aaron.
Yeah, and the net ash left over because of the pitches does still remain at 2. I know there was a bunch of dragons created there. Again, these are experienced Dromai players, so they're kind of speeding through the accounting, if you will. But
experienced experts, I would even say. These are 2 of these kind of like the luminaries, the foremost scholars of Dragon. Mara's celebrational title, I believe, is Scholar of Wraith, if I'm not mistaken.
well, she is also the Empress of Volcor, per James White himself. Meanwhile, Aaron, very studious because he's running Tome of Findall as well
library.
as... Yeah.
Librarian Dromai. There's got to be a better way to say that, like library
A
Dromai.
second burn them all comes down, so saying, all right, I know you've got the Ashwing there, but I want to get a couple of triggers. Again, I said before, her game plan is usually to try to leak damage and then clean up the opposing dragons. A little bit more difficult here because the Yenderais have those endurance tokens. Again, would love to have something like an Asvalai here so that you could ping the endurance tokens off and then deal with them, but I don't see one in hand currently, so we're going to have to be a little bit more creative with cleaning this up.
More arcane damage coming from Mara. She attacks from multiple angles with that deck, hits you low to the ground with those attack actions, as well as developing those dragons. Truly, it's like 70-something red cards. It's 69 red cards and 3 that all you got, and that's the deck list, folks. So we are going to go ahead and see just how far she can push this red color strip. And Light and Strike, gorgeous alt art going to come in as a Flame Call Awakening is going to come in and take care of the endurance counter on one of the Yenderais. Grab the Phoenix Flame because we played a red card in the Burn Them All.
You know, those Burn Them Alls will also speed up how fast you eat through those attack actions that are in your discard pile. So, again, potentially turning on future Nourishing Emptiness. Her list does run 3 copies. We have only seen the 1, so that is another thing that we will want to be paying attention to as we go forward.
Thamai here going to get created as a result of pitching the Phoenix Flame to the Flame Scale Furnace. So we've got a dragon with 3 attack and 4 health, enough to take care of that Yenderai. But now Aaron's got all cards left in hand, an Aether Ashwing, and a Yenderai to his name, even with the endurance counter. So what pressure is he able to put on? He can clear that Thamai just on the board, so just has to find a way to start this chain with go again.
Yeah, I believe in hand I saw Sink Bullet. Yeah, there it is. So that's going to be pitched. Not something that's super useful until later in the game against Mara because of all of the back and forth with the dragons. Does find a Rake, so this is going to be a Yenderai +1 Ashwing sent her way.
Massive. Your second Rake the Embers, second or third Rake the Embers here for Aaron Chance. And again, Mara has no way to deal with these Aether Ashwings cleanly, except for something like a Popper from hand, Nourishing Emptiness, the card we've been talking about, as well as something like an Asvalai. But it looks like he's rocking another Thamai in there. Looks like we might see another powerful turn from Mara, depending on what comes down or what she tries to set up for herself later.
That does mean she still has one more Nourishing somewhere in the list. And here we're going to kick things off with Tome of Imperial Flame. This is the second one that she has found. What can she do with it? I see quite a few dragons in her hand, so she's going to have to decide which ones she prioritizes. I see a Miragai, for example. But is that what she's going to potentially send with her pitch? And I was about to say, I think what's going to happen here is that she's likely going to send the Miragai because if I remember right when I spoke to her, sometimes she likes to save those for the second cycle, hoping to get your opponent to use a bunch of the poppers on the first cycle, and then the Miragai has that much more value when they're running low because it puts additional pain. Further, this allows her to keep the Asvalai, which will easily clean up some of these pesky dragons that Aaron has been able to develop. Also going to, I believe, clean up the endurance token here.
Yeah, looks like also one arcane just as a result of the burn them all here. So gonna send one of the arcane from, oh no, 2 arcane, excuse me, from the burn them all. And then those 2 points of arcane damage from the Azulai shoring up the endurance counter as well as one of the Aether Ashwings. Now look at that, Mara, just like that, a couple dragons left for her. She's got the Azulai and the Themai. Aaron's only got the 1 Aether Ashwing, and he's down 4 life. We'll see how relevant that is and how long she can keep these burn them alls around, because that's how she's doing the lion's share of her damage over these last couple turns.
Yeah, all these dragons battling it out makes me feel like I'm watching an episode of Game of Thrones or House of Dragon.
Dracarys is something I believe Mara, I don't know if she says it every time. I don't know if she says it out loud, but you have to imagine internally, all these Drumline players, as they finish the game, some little Dracarys.
Yeah, maybe. Or, maybe they are old like me and they remember stuff like Puff the Magic Dragon.
Where does he live?
He lives by the sea.
Oh, I've heard it's nice over there. Thamai coming down for Aaron as well. A bunch of Thamais just being thrown around on the battlefield in the pitch zone there for Aaron. Maybe even, no, not 2, but it is going to go ahead and take care of the Azulai, one of the most premium dragons in this game here for Mara, because it allows her to take care of those Aether Ashwings. She has worked through a lot of them. Now, Cadaver's Contraband coming out of the pitch. That's going to go ahead and take care of Mara's Thamai. So Aaron's going to be left with a couple of dragons. Still, the Thamai, powerful in that it has that 4 health, which can be somewhat annoying to clear, and having to spend 4 points of attacking value into a dragon is never fun. The Aether Ashwing able to clear up another Aether Ashwing, able to deal with.
And I was just going to say, that's also the power of Contraband. Because it hit, you do get to put something on top, going to find that Rake the Embers, which has been so impactful. And when you already have the 4 Ash, you know that you're going to go the distance with it. Mara playing what I believe is now her 3rd Tome of Imperial Flame of the game, so looking to power up, knowing that Aaron is drawing into that Rake.
That's the 2nd Cadaver's Contraband that's hit for Aaron Chance this game, and I wonder if the value of getting to play 2 of the best cards in your entire deck, not just shuffled back in thanks to Remembrance, you play them on your next turn, or you arsenal them on your next turn, and they are some of the just single most powerful cards you can do in Tome of the Imperial Flame and Rake the Embers. So I'm just curious to see if the amount of just straight up value he gets from getting to play both of those cards again is going to be too much for Mara Ferris to overcome.
Yeah, the Cadaverous Contraband is doing a lot of work in this particular mirror, because you can target dragons, so you get the on-hit, but it's also a popper in its own right. So the 6 attack, relevant. The on-hit, relevant. Everything you want in this matchup. Mara's List not running it, largely because it's so expensive to play, and she likes to be lean, so red heavy. We'll have to see if that ends up being a difference maker, though, and right now, she's swinging with the Chromai, going to clean up one of the Ashwings, but get that damage from the Burn Them All. Getting Aaron down to 20. And again, that has been the game plan from the start. Like I said, she likes to get leaked damage and then clean up dragons. Leak damage, clean up dragons. Here we're going to have the Kyloria clean one up as well. And we know that there's the Rake the Embers that it's going to be coming from Aaron, but if all that, and here comes another Nourishing. The question is, has she banished enough from the Burn Them All that this is live?
It looks like she's perhaps revealing that she has, getting the +1 buff. She's going to show the graveyard there. I don't think she's revealing any attacks. I think she's gone ahead and worked through.
Yeah, I think he's
Aaron's
double checking.
Double check. She gives us the double
like I
thumbs
said,
up.
double Burn Them All has gotten rid of all of the relevant ones, and this is that power play we were talking about.
Wow, a really massive turn.
This is a big
here.
turn.
Yeah, this is
huge.
massive. She's going to not have an arsenal, so it's not like she's going to be working off of like 6 cards total, but it looks like Aaron is just going to take all 6 of it, go down to 14, allow Mara to have 5 cards to work with. Those Rake the Embers are going to really put in a lot of work, just getting on back from the Cadaverous Contraband. So Mara's gotten a lot of life chewed away from her opponent. Aaron doesn't run any Sigil of Solaces, so it's not like there's many life gain opportunities for him here. If Mara's able to go ahead and shore up the rest of this damage, she might just punch her way into the top 8. It's going to come down to the tiebreakers. We're going to have to see. But regardless, look at those 5 cards being drawn. An incredibly powerful play as Aaron just whaps down that Rake the Embers with authority. Getting to play it again off the back of that Cadaverous Contraband's got to feel just so damn good.
Well, something's got to feel good for you, because that turn by Mara was outstanding. follows it up with the Wuvia, which
Woo?
allows you, Wuvia,
All right.
allows you to make another Ashwing. That's why he was prioritizing the Ash, and it will continue to make them afterwards. He's turning them all sideways, but obviously if she has a popper here, it will stop the chain. And I do see in that 5-card hand a Command and Conquer, so if she wants to prevent a bunch of that damage, she could. Or she could choose to take it and save that Command and Conquer for cleaning up the Wuvia on her turn if she wants.
Yeah, I think just the 1 Aether Ashwing perhaps coming in, given that the rest of them were on Dragon cleanup duty. So yeah, she looks like Mara's having to decide if she wants to commit a popper here, save the damage, or just get rid of the token.
Yeah, I was
Looks
going
like
to say, I think
Aether-
you just take it here, 100%.
Just going to take the 1 damage and use the Command and Conquer either on her turn this turn, set it up in the arsenal. Gonna have to wait and see. She's got 5 cards to work with. She just got 6 across thanks to a dominated Nourishing Emptiness that had a long way to go before it was going to end up dominated. She really had to chunk through that graveyard, but those 2 Burn Them Alls, again, double duty, getting arcane damage across and setting yourself up for a potentially game-altering play.
So this turn here, she has a lot of Ash to work with as well, so we're going to start by turning one of them into a Mira guy.
What a miracle.
Yeah, a Miracle guy?
Miracle, little miracle guy.
Miracle guy.
Little miracle guy, this Mirage guy.
Miracle guy. And when this attacks, the 2 arcane damage from the Burn Them All will be threatened, and it looks like we're going to clean up at least one of the Ash Wings and the 2 damage toward Aaron, who at 14, and as you said, Aaron, actually both players not running any sigils. Aaron does, however, have those Tome of Fyendals, so could potentially gain health that way. But getting to the danger zone here does decide to, I think, take that arcane damage. Doesn't want to give up the cards quite yet, despite having the barrier available with those Aether Ashwings. And we're going to follow up the Miracle guy with a Blaze Headlong and saying, this one is coming for you. I would like to present more damage since you are at 12.
All of a sudden, that is 1/3.
We're going to block with a Blaze Headlong, which means 1 more leaks. And again, we know that there is a Command and Conquer left if we pitch this to the Furnace. That should then give her enough resources if she wants to get rid of the Wuvia.
Don't believe there is an arsenal represented for
Yep,
Aaron
so there's
Chance
the
here, so
Furnace, and that gets rid of the Wuvia. So overall, I think that's a successful turn from her because she still leaked more damage, got rid of the most important dragon. Yes, he still has the Aether Ashwings, and he has quite a few cards in hand, but she did also force the block from the Burn Them All. I was going to say, I think one of these Burn Them Alls will finally go away just because we're getting to the point where doing 5 and 3 isn't economical, but she can keep 1.
important to be able to keep even just the 1. Aaron has fallen all the way down to 11. Again, he's been able to recur those powerful cards, but it's not going to matter if his life total just slowly dwindles down to 0 here. But a lot of game left here, a lot of story to still be told in this one. 3 Aether Ashwings face down a Mira guy. Couple cards left for Aaron, at least 3, I think. Only maybe blocking with that Burn Them All, not wanting to try to push the damage there given the state of the game. It's a Mirage guy of his own pitching away that Billowing Mirage. To stay Ash neutral, it's time to begin the Dragon Army onslaught. Aether Ashwing looks like he's posturing to send it straight at Mara.
Yeah, that is the case. I think he's just testing the water for potential poppers. Does get the 1 damage through, and then does, I think, just pass. So saying, all right, that first one is protected by the Mirror guy, so excuse me, not looking for the poppers, but then opting to pass after that.
Let's see how much damage Mara is able to throw and how much she wants to respect the Mirror guy or the Ashwings.
Trying to take a look at her hand. I do see the Enlightened Strike, which could be very threatening. If you end your turn by sending that for the 7, for example, that could be very important. Ravenous Rabble, we know that's going to be for 4. Go again.
Yeah. 11 to 24 coming down to the wire, folks. Aaron's
Right.
going to take another one, go down to 10 here.
The Dominia Dragon blocking 3 of that, but Mara slowly leaking that damage. Aaron looking for an opportunity to turn the corner. So instead, the Enlightened Strike's going to get pitched. So Billowing Mirage can come through and create a dragon, but also, I was going to say, I think threat and damage, but I might see this Billowing targeting.
It looks like, yeah, clearing away some Aether
Oh,
Ashwings
okay.
there. And the Dust Up going to go ahead
Yeah.
and make an Ash and an Aether Ashwing as well. So setting herself up rather nicely with a bunch of little baby dragons. 2 of them, to be precise, can still be able to easily have enough for the Burn Them All. Probably will have more enough on the next turn, too. So 1 to 2 turns left of this Burn Them All. 1 to 2 more points
They have
of
done
Arcane.
work, though.
Absolutely. 1 left in the deck as well. Asvalai here is
Asvalai,
perfect for Aaron.
perfect.
2 damage going to go straight, most likely, over at
There is
Mara.
a third Burn Them All in Mara's hand, so
There we go. Talk about 3 of a kind. Lexi may be gone, but there's 3 of each card in a deck. You can find them close together. Looks like we're going to do an Arcane at...
no, that was heads up. So what
Yeah.
happened there? 1 Arcane at one of the Aethers, 1 Arcane at Mara, and then attacked the other one so that it's protected from a popper. Very heads up play by Aaron.
100%.
Now what Aaron is looking to do is follow this up with a big attack and gets there with the big 4/7 attack. I believe this is Miraging Metamorph.
Absolutely. Miraging Metamorph. No auras like a Burn Them All to be copied. However, this is 7 damage. Mara has given herself quite a bit of healthy life to work with. And once again, just going to take it to the face. These Dromai players, they don't want to block the attack actions because they know they need to keep those dragons in hand to clear their opponent's dragons, or else things are going to get out of control really quickly.
Well, also, I think Mara wants to take this because that's the reason she preserved that health lead for so long. She wants to be in a position where if I've got a good hand, I can take the damage, feel confident I'm not in danger, and then just continue to pressure. Developing the second Burn Them All so that we're threatening 2 Arcane again. And so far, Aaron has been reluctant to pay for them. We're going to start with the Flame Call Awakening, which, again, just a beautiful card when you're playing Dromai because it generates the ash for you. It gets that Phoenix Flame that you can then pitch again, so it kind of replaces itself, but also feeds the furnace. And then we're going to have to wait and see, when a dragon goes, whether or not this 2 Arcane damage is successful. So we're going to make a Miracle Guy, as we have now decided to call him, Mirror Guy, targeting the other Ashwing.
2 Arcane coming across. I'd be curious how much damage has Mara been able to threaten with all 3 Burn Them Alls, with all those reds in the deck and running through them in the rate that she has, playing the attack actions that head to the
Still
graveyard after
connects.
Chainlink Resolution. These Burn Them Alls are putting in massive amounts of work. Just incredible. Only 1 dragon left over, but if you're Mara, I think you could be okay with where things are at right now. You've got 7 life on your opponent. You've been battling back from a top 32 finish, but at the 32 slot, and this could potentially punch your ticket into the top 8. It all is going to come down to the tiebreakers and the rest of the
Just going to
tournament.
say she was just short of being able to keep both of them. She had 6 cards there, so she's going to let the big one go, keep the other one around. But if you can keep even just one around, that puts the onus on Aaron to continue to make either Ashwings. Otherwise, this Arcane damage becomes unblockable. And instead, we have an Asvalai.
Asvalai going to go ahead, 2 and 1 Arcanes at the Mirror Guy, so only 1 health left for it. That other piece of Arcane going to go ahead and connect with Mara Ferris here. Down to 14 she goes. 14 as it's round 14 as well. Round 14
and then
down to 14.
The second Uvia is coming down, and then the Ashwing will be going toward Mara. So very good turn overall for Aaron as these health totals begin to get low. Does get the either Ashwing out that he needed to have any source of Arcane Barrier in case that becomes a problem, but also cleans up the board, and that Wuvia is a big target. I do see the Enlightened Strike in hand, so you could send that for 7 and still clean that up if you really need to, but there's other dragons that you have to deal with. You ideally would like to make your own dragon as well so that you're continuing to threaten with the Burn Them All.
This is a pretty big turn. We're going to pitch the Kyloria into Billowing Mirage so that we can make another Ashwing. This is pretty big for Mara. She's able to clear the Asvalai with the Billowing Mirage and trigger the Burn Them All. 1 Arcane coming as a result of the Burn Them All here. The Aether Ashwing attacking, clearing the other Aether Ashwing.
Yeah, this is a good turn because you still have 2 cards left. And as I said, if you want, you can send the Enlightened Strike for 7, clean up the final dragon. That is going to be the play. So you leak the 1 damage, you clean up the dragons. That is the Mara game plan.
Yeah, 1 left over too as well for Mara. She's still got 1 Aether Ashwing to work with. Going to go ahead and easily have enough to banish to this final Burn Them All. These cards have been doing so much work. Oh, it looks as though, there we go. There's just a Sweeping Blow Going to go ahead and take care of the...
Oh, okay. So we have a sweeping blow into a Kyloria coming, and if there is no popper here, I was going to say this is going to eat at least some armor or something, because you do not want them to connect and draw that card.
And that's got to be why the gauntlet is there for Mara, simply to shore up a single Kyloria breakpoint. Got to be happy to have exactly a 3-block there on the turn. This deck runs other than...
Ravenous Rabble showing a Ravenous Rabble.
Little guys coming flying from all sides. I think that sounds like Ravenous Rabble to me.
Yeah, well, earlier on the broadcast when we were watching Brody, we had a Ravenous Rabble turn into a Ravenous Riot because it came for 10.
Oh my God. Going to connect another point of damage here, slowly chipping down Mr. Chance. It's going to be Blaze Headlong 4 coming at Aaron as well, given that he's already down to 6. Do we have a dragon to clear the Kyloria here and send a point of Arcane? One more point of damage coming across. The answer is no, but we do have the Dust Up. It is going to clear and create the Aether Ashwing, so we're not going to get the point of Arcane on the turn. Going to have to banish 3, but Mara is just pushing the pressure on, continuing the onslaught. Got to make sure we banish those 3 cards to the Burn Them All.
Kind of trying to take a look at the grip there. There is a Chromai, a Mirror Guy that I think we've hit second cycle, because I think that's the Mirror Guy that we noted was pitched earlier, trying to save for the late game.
Oh, and yeah. 2 cards, a Tome of Imperial Flame there. We've already seen 2 earlier in this game, thanks to the Cadaver's Contraband. Building Mirage of Aaron's own. 3 damage coming across. Mara's going to go ahead and take it. Down to 9.
Yep. Again, she wants to take these leads with the health so that she can use it as a resource later and then continue to present the gas. Now, this is a big play by Aaron, though. Not only is it a lot of damage, but that's a very relevant threat. We've seen the Contraband do a lot of work, and I think we're going to actually see this get blocked out. This one would be pivotal.
2 cards could shore up this entire block, potentially. Doesn't look like there's a D-React in hand there for Mara to couple along with the 2-block on the Flame-Scaled Furnace, which she still has and has had for quite some time. Aaron at 5, but does have a block on the Flame Scale and plenty of Ash to potentially work to close this game out. It's really coming down to the wire, but you have to imagine Mara doesn't want to just take 6 and allow something like a Tome to get recurred for a second time this game, or an Aether Rake the Embers to come back as well. Looks like we might be committing 2 pretty impactful dragons. Although
and this shows the importance of that Kyloria earlier, because it ate the gloves. She would be able to 1-block this and then throw Furnace and gloves in front, but
absolutely,
because of the Kyloria and not having a popper, that makes this an awkward block.
And it looks like we're going to give the Ravenous Rabble as well as the Flamescale Furnace, overblocking by 1 simply to preserve the 2, I think the 0-cost dragons in hand. So now we're going to be able to start things off with a Chromai, attack with it, grab the action point. We're attacking... But I can't tell if she is attacking the Ashwing or
No, I
Aaron,
think this one's going face,
yeah,
because even if it's popped, you have the action point and you can play the second one and still clean up the Ashwing. So I think right now she wants to send this face, because depending on how this is blocked out, she could potentially send the other one face as well. I think this is saying, all right, give me information about how your hand, because if this all connects, right, if this is a no block, then afterwards you have lethal threatened.
it's pretty good.
It's pretty good. I mean, yes, you have the Ashwing you could deal with, but sometimes like lethal is also a thing. There's a Tome pitched, and that's for the, I was going to say for the Arcane Barrier, because we do still have the 1 Ashwing there, and then full block on the Chromai. So essentially got rid of 2 cards. Asvali being the other dragon is a very big deal.
This is going to send 1 point of Arcane straight at the Aether Ashwing, 1 point of the Arcane at Aaron Chance, unless...
No, so this is also why that first attack going face was so important, because there was no popper used. She can feel confident, in my opinion, by sending 1 at the dragon, 1 at face, and attack face.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you eat the popper here, you still have to make them have it. You got to send the popper when Aaron's all the way down 2-5. Looks like they might be deciding about the Arcane damage here still.
Yeah, I think they're calling a judge because I think what is going to be checked is the sequencing, because the arcane's going to resolve, and I think he wants to know whether or not he'll have the ability to use the arcane barrier on the one targeting him, or if it resolves simultaneously, how that ordering goes. Because obviously the one pitch floating there, they just want to see how this is going to go.
That's a very good question.
Yeah, and honestly,
very important question.
At this stage, this is a very impactful moment in a pivotal game in a big tournament, so you might as well just make sure you get it right. So we are awaiting the judge call.
This has been, honestly, a fascinating game to watch. Both players showing a kind of propensity to take some pretty big licks that I did not expect. Miraging Metamorph, no blocks. Cadaver's Contraband, no blocks.
Yeah, I was going to say that the beginning was, I think, setting the tone. When Aaron says, I'm going to send Contraband because I've already played Tome and I can get it back, and Mara says, yeah, that's fine. That was like, okay, we're in for a game.
Exactly. I mean, these are two, again, masters of their respective decks, different takes on the hero. One of the things Mara mentioned in our little interview is that she'd love to throw the gauntlet down against the Dromai cabal, so to speak, some of these big dragon players that are not Empress believers. I can't speak to Aaron Shance's involvement in said cabal. However, this is a duel of those ideologies, those philosophies here for us all to cap off this incredible 2 days of competition and potentially lead to the top 8 for one or both of these players.
Man, this is so close. This is such a tense moment while we wait for
judgment.
Yeah, the resolution.
Judgment. One of my first TCGs I ever played, it was, I guess, quote-unquote TCG, was a game called The Eye of Judgment. It was on my PlayStation 3. You put a card down on a little mat, and the camera would read. It looks like they have resolved, and before the Aether Ashwing dies, we are able to spend the one in the Arcane Barrier, so that is pretty big for Mr. Chance here. It's part of why he pitched that yellow. You have to imagine he was ready for another point of Arcane on the turn. 2 damage going to come across, though, and 2 dragons are left for Mara. This is big. She's got plenty of cards for this burn them all here.
Yeah, and I think that Aaron was saying to himself, if I can't clear some of these dragons, I'm just going to lose the game anyway, so I have to keep something. You're not happy about taking the damage there, but you got to get rid of at least one and hope you draw some tools here, maybe some more Phantasm Poppers or things like that. But look at this hand by Mara.
But also just a single attack from Asvalai puts Aaron 2-1.
Yeah, no sources of Arcane.
Yeah, those Aether Ashwings are completely gone. The Burn Them All and the Asvalai represent 2 points of Arcane damage. Is she going to be able to find enough? This is going to be 5 with Go again, probably going straight at Aaron. I think, depending on the other attack actions she has in hand, depending on the breakpoints, we're going to have to see. These are 2 cards being committed to the blocks. Let's see how she wants to continue from here after the Enlightened Strike. Aaron's at 3. Mara's sitting at a pretty comfortable 9.
Yeah, I think what she's trying to do here is use as many tools as possible that don't involve poppers, force those cards out of his hand in case he does have one, just so that not only does the damage go through, but she's further threatened. Instead, we're going to have the Ashwing here created, and that's going to go toward the Mirror Guy, but then trigger the Burn Them All. That has to resolve, so the 1 damage goes through. And then we still have the Asvalai coming, threatening lethal.
Looks like the 1 Arcane's going to happen. Send Aaron on down to 1, and
there
is
a
the
popper.
So look at the discipline there from Mara, sending the 4 at the Mirror Guy, just in case there was a popper on this turn. She wanted to make sure she didn't just get got and have a Mirror Guy left over that Aaron
and
could
ends
use
the
to
turn
claw back
with an
into the
arsenal.
game.
So she has a dragon, an arsenal, and a 4-card hand. She's got her opponent on the ropes. She could keep the Burn Them All around.
I believe Aaron is at 1
Yeah,
here.
yeah. The iPhone that's on the table is not correct. You can see the pad to the right has him at 1.
But if that is the case, this is now the starter for the turn. This is 0 with Go again, but a single dragon attack might be able to threaten enough Arcane if Aaron Chance doesn't have some way to deal with it.
With the 0 to
yeah, I mean, this is the
enable
thing.
the Blaze Headlong. Oh, that gets covered perfectly with a Sync, though.
Blaze headlong, covered up by a sync blow. Is there any kind of recourse for Aaron here? Mara might be committing the attack that's going to send the potential lethal burn them all trigger on the stack.
He has Ash, so what she's trying to play
Yes,
around, if you're wondering, is sand cover.
Yeah, sand cover, 100%. So she's trying to suss it out, send everything she can. But first, let's just see if the game is over here, folks. Aether Ashman coming in the fist.
No sand cover, Mara does it!
Mara Ferris from the 32nd seed is going to end day 2 at 10-4, and there are players with a 10-4 record that are going to make it into the top 8. That's one of the things that happens when you play a large tournament with many rounds, but cut to a top 32. There's players that are live up until their X4 and maybe even beyond. So Mara Ferris very well might have just taken her Empress Dromai list, beat down a big dragon list on stream, and to cap off 2 days of the Realm Rumble and maybe go from the 32nd seed into the top 8. We're going to have to wait and see, but that game was fantastic.
That was wonderful to watch because, as you said, 2 different ideologies, 2 different play patterns. We saw the power plays from both. We saw the aggressive, let's leak damage and clean up dragons play from Mara, but we did also see those big cadaverous contraband plays. We saw the Tome of Fyendal as well. Just beautiful play from both players. Absolutely blast to watch. And congratulations to Mara, because this was hard fought to get to this point.
Yeah, congratulations are due for both players, just putting on such a show for us all weekend and playing such incredible games. We've seen Aaron before on coverage. Unfortunately, had that insane Kano match earlier in the day, and then now just barely not able to hold on against the Empress herself. What a round, Charmer. That was very exciting to watch. I mean, I was floored by those 2 cadaverous contrabands getting those powerful cards. But again, Mara is the master here, not me, and she showed me why it's okay sometimes to let some of those devastating on-hit effects trigger when you know your game plan so immaculately well.
All right, so that was the last round of today, but that doesn't mean that we are 100% done. We are going to let you know who our top 8 is. We are going to take a short break, and then when we come back, we're going to announce the top 8 for tomorrow, as well as give away the Alpha Pack of Welcome to Wraith. Yes, we have not forgotten. We are still going to give that away. So we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, top 8 and the Alpha Pack giveaway. Don't go anywhere.
2021 Canadian National Champion Yuki Lee Bender
Yes.
on Bolton.
On Bolton. Hey, speaking of heroes from Monarch, 7th seed, none other than Ethan Van Sant, the man Sant himself with the Leviah Truth.
And the 8th seed, Mara Ferris.
Yes, that's right. Her victory over Erin Chance that we just saw in the final round was enough to catapult her. So again, after day 1, squeaked into day 2 as the 32nd seed and then went on a tear to secure her spot in the top 8 and advance to day 3.
All right, so apparently we had some audio issues, so we're going to run through the top 8 again real quick for you. Hey, don't blame me. Number 1, Matthew W. Number 2, Michael Hamilton. Number 3, Brody Spurlock. Number 4, Peter Budensic.
Are you just going to hand this over afterwards? So number 5, Raj Parikh. Number 6, Yuki Lee Bender. Number 7, Ethan Van Sant, the man Sant himself. And number 8, Mara Ferris. That's right. After her victory over Erin Chance, she has catapulted into the top 8, finished 32nd, squeaked into day 2, and then went on a tear. So that is going to be your top 8 for tomorrow. Great players. I mean, absolutely stacked top 8, but also a lot of hero diversity because, again, we have a Bolton in there, a Kano in there, a Leviah in there. Obviously, Mara on Dromai. Michael Hamilton is also phenomenal. We got Brody on Azalea. This is going to be a wild day 3, and I am so excited for it.
All right, so I am going to do the best thing ever, which is leave it up to you how we're going to give away this next prize because I want nothing to do with it.
So the prize here, this is an alpha pack of Welcome to Wraith.
Yeah, and we looked through it. It's pretty good.
We did no such thing. It is still sealed. This is a sealed alpha pack of Welcome to Wraith, and we are going to give it away in chat. You let me know when you are ready to go.
Yeah, but so I'm watching the chat, but you got to let me know what the story is here.
Well, so I just wanted to make sure you had it up before we went into this. So
we can open this and
it's funny because that's what I was going to say.
Okay, we'll throw this one in. Okay, so we're going to open this. What we're going to do? Don't do it yet. I swear to God. We're going to open this. We're going to take out the foil. And whoever guesses what the foil is,
yes,
that's a good call. You don't have to guess the color. We're opening this pack. The contents of this pack will be given to you as well. We're going to take out the foil. If you can tell us what the foil is in this pack of bright lights, it is all yours. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Okay. Make it happen. If you want to win this alpha pack, let us know. What is the foil that we just opened in this pack of bright lights? Make it happen. We're watching the chat as it goes. Let's see. What do we got?
That this has the stamp as well, so this will be iconic. They will remember this forever.
You'll know what it is.
Oh, you'll know.
You will know what it is. So, hope you guys enjoyed the stream, for sure. We had a lot of fun doing it. There's still more to be done tomorrow. Lots of fun. Lots of fun. Nobody's got it yet.
Not yet. I mean, I thought once we open it that this one might take a while, but I haven't seen anybody get it correct yet.
Let's see. Let's see. Man, you guys.
At what point do we give a hint?
I ain't giving no hints.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to be helpful, but
Earn it.
I have been overruled by the Council of No Fun.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned the Council of Wizards all the time, but...
Well, you shall not pass. Let's see what we got here. Nobody's got it yet. What is going on here?
There's people, like, Googling the set list right
Yeah, like,
now.
wait a second. You want a hint? If you're Googling the set list, alphabetical order is your friend. How about that?
Well, that's a bigger hint than I was going to give.
I don't. You know what? You're right. It is. Did I didn't. There's no way I missed it. I'm like scrolling through this as best as possible. I'm trying to catch up with the chat. How has no one got this? You're watching too, right?
Yes, I am. I have not seen it yet.
Incredible. Incredible. People like writing a penetration script, though. People like writing that one. Where is it?
I mean, they are firing through chat, so it's possible somebody has said it, but we're being meticulous with our
Yeah,
scroll
we don't
through
want to miss
'cause
it.
we don't want to miss it. But there have been some good guesses, but still, at least in our scrolling, have not seen
Oh,
There!
we got it. It's Annihilator Engine. Foil Annihilator Engine.
foil majestic
Unreal.
Annihilator engine to
Yeah, I
go
guess-
with your welcome to Wraith Alpha Pack.
What else is in here? Maybe
Congratulations, Pascal Wings.
Is the cold foil in here? No, it's
No.
not. Nonetheless, yeah, so you win, Pascal Wings, a sealed pack of Alpha with Katsu on it, and you win this this pack of Realm stamped straight from the Realm games. That's basically spearheaded by this foil Annihilator engine. So how do you get in contact, Pascal Wings?
orders.realmgames@gmail.com. You send us an email, say, hey, I am the one who won the Welcome to Wraith Alpha Pack, as well as the foil whatever.
Look, I'm not going to. I mean, everybody who said a common, that's the right strategy, right? You just
Oh,
take,
yeah.
take the best odds. If it was just to win the pack, I would probably if it's just a bunch of commons, it's not going to make or break me. You roll high, right? You say a foil majestic or something like that. Not bad. So congratulations to you, Pascal Wings. Go to orders.therealm@gmail.com. Give them and say, hey, I won the Alpha Pack. My name is Pascal Wings. Here's my address. Here's my information. Thank you so much. They will ship this to you. And more importantly, Charmer, they will ship this to you. Look at that. Look at that.
What a great way to end the day.
Not bad indeed. Not
Fantastic
bad indeed.
top 8. Great final game on the broadcast. Wonderful giveaway. And I get to share it with you.
Oh.
And the Dancing Tommy Fresh, just out of
Is he? Where
Out
is
of
he?
camp.
Okay, hold on a second. No. If we're gonna go out, we're going out on top. Get in here. Get behind us.
beloved community member Tommy Fresh. How you doing?
How you doing, Tommy? Here.
The last time I checked in with you, you were 4-1 in the 10K on Riptide. How are you now?
I thought I was the foreign one.
No, you are a certified 10, my friend.
All right.
I'm 5 and
Here-
2 on Riptide.
5-2 still on Riptide in the 10K.
Incredible. Congratulations to you. And they just revealed some new Riptide juice for you, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So here's what we're gonna do. You stay there, Tommy Fresh. We're gonna sign off
Okay.
while Tommy dances provocatively. Is that a fair sign off for the day?
It doesn't matter because I get overruled all the time. So.
Damn right you do. What? Are you gonna object to that?
Never.
Perfect. All right, Tommy, get loose, get limber. Charmer, you ready to rock and roll, buddy?
Yeah, I think that this is a great time to say thank you for watching. We will see you tomorrow for the top 8 in the conclusion of the Realm Invitational. Again, $20,000 in total in prizes on the line, as well as the amazing studded bracelet, the Champions Mat. We hope to see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.